On Friday night, these seats will be filled and the High Point Solutions Arena will be alive as Quinnipiac plays its most arguably important game in program history as the #1 Bobcats square off against the #13 Yale Bulldogs. Hello everyone, I'm Giovanni here with Q30 Sports. After 4 straight months of winning, the Bobcats finally suffered defeat to the St. Lawrence Saints by a score of 2-1 last Friday. Quinnipiac would eventually rebound the following afternoon and defeat the Clarkson Golden Knights 2-1, clinching their first ever Cleary Cup. Now, while Quinnipiac has been on a winning streak, the Yale Bulldogs have been doing the opposite. Ever since the Bobcats went into Ingles Rink on February 2nd and defeated the Yale Bulldogs by a score of 6-2, Yale has lost 3 straight games, including losses to Rensselaer, Brown, and Union. This will be the first time the Yale Bulldogs play the #1 team in the nation since 1989, when they defeated Harvard University by a score of 3-1 at Ingles Rink. Now, not only will this game be fought for bragging rights, but also for the Heroes hat. For the 8th straight years, these two teams will be fighting for the Heroes hat as Yale currently holds it after tying Quinnipiac by a score of 2-2 last year. Will Quinnipiac win the game and also bring back the Heroes hat? We will now be joined by Q30 Sports hockey analyst Mark Spillane. Now, Mark, thank you for joining us. Would you want to recap both Quinnipiac and Yale this past weekend and their games?
Well, on Friday night, Quinnipiac, as you mentioned, Gio, lost to St. Lawrence, and credit needs to be due to St. Lawrence. I know a lot of people are talking about how poorly Quinnipiac played, but St. Lawrence really took them out of their game offensively, and there's a reason they have the top offensive line in the country. They made 2 defensive mistakes, allowing Greg Carey, the leading goal scorer in the nation, to have wide-open looks at Eric Hartzell. Eric Hartzell misplayed it on one. Carey made a great shot on the other. You just can't do that against a guy like him. He's got 23 goals, leading the nation for a reason, and that's how they were able to come away with that victory. But the Bobcats bounced back on Saturday against Clarkson. When they bounced back against Clarkson, they did a great job of not allowing Clarkson to get in the zone offensively. They did what St. Lawrence basically did to them the night earlier. Also, they were able to make a little bit more in the way of offense for themselves by not passing as much and doing a little bit more in terms of shooting. They did a good job with that, and they were able to take Greg Lewis, the goalie for Clarkson, out of his game.
So now, after this weekend, Quinnipiac is still #1 in the nation for the 2nd straight week. Do you agree with this?
I do agree with this, absolutely. And there's a reason why, because Quinnipiac, as you mentioned, Gio, hadn't lost for nearly 4 months. They've been doing a great job not losing to teams that are very good teams like Union, like Yale, like Cornell, teams like that. And now that they have one game where they struggle, everybody thought they were going to drop right out of the top spot and Minnesota was going to jump right back into it. However, I don't see any reason why that should be the case, because Union also lost. They lost to Wisconsin, and then you had Miami of Ohio, who was the 3rd-ranked team, losing to Notre Dame. So when you have 2 teams right behind you also lose, there's no reason why they should drop out of the top spot, especially considering the track record that they put together throughout the year.
Now, the Bobcats have been a pretty impressive team all season, but if you had to pick one player who has been the most impactful on this team, who would you pick and why?
Well, that one's easy, Gio. It's Eric Hartzell. He's been phenomenal in net for the Bobcats all year long. He's got 22 wins, only 3 losses, and 4 ties. He's also 1st in the nation in goals against average among goalies with at least 15 starts. He has clearly been the Bobcats' backbone. He's been consistent every single game, allowing the offense to do what they need to do to get just enough goals to get them over the top to keep them in 1st place at the ECAC.
Speaking of that Hartzell fellow, Eric Hartzell is also in contention to win the Hobie Baker Award given to college hockey's best player on and off the rink. Now, Mark, do you think Hartzell has a chance to win this award?
I don't think he has a chance to win this award. He's in the running, that's for sure. We have to give him credit for that. However, the last time a goalie won the Hobie Baker Award was back in 2001-2002 when Ryan Miller, you might have heard of him playing in the NHL right now, won the award for Michigan State. When he did it, he set an NCAA record for goals against average, save percentage, and shutouts. He had 10 shutouts and a .950 save percentage. Those numbers are much better than Hartzell's, even though Hartzell is on an absolute roll right now for the Bobcats. He just broke the single-season wins record for the Bobcats and is right on the verge of breaking the shutouts record all-time as well, but he's not Ryan Miller, and I don't think he's going to win the award.
Now, Yale has lost 4 straight games, and that first game they lost during that losing streak was to Quinnipiac at Ingles Rink by a score of 6-2. Now, was that a fluke game? Did Yale just have a bad game, or was that both teams showing their true colors?
I think it was a little bit of both. Yale had just lost their starting goaltender, Jeff Malcolm, the night before in the game against Princeton. He got hurt about 2.5 minutes into the game. Then they bring in Maricic, their backup goalie, who struggled in his previous starts earlier this year, although he did play well against the Bobcats in this building last year during the Heroes Hat game. When he came into the game, against Princeton, he didn't look that good, and I think the Bobcats realized, even though they fell down 2-0 against Yale over in Ingles Rink, that they were going to get their goals, and then they had 6 different people score for them. Anytime you have 6 guys contributing against the backup goaltender for the other team, it's not going to work out well.
Well, speaking of 6 different goal scorers, the Bobcats don't really have a clear-cut goal leader, but Jeremy Langlois does lead the team with 11 goals. Can you talk about the diversity between so many offensive weapons for Quinnipiac? Yeah,
Jeremy Langlois, as you said, leading the way. He's the guy that does most of the work offensively for the Bobcats, but now you've got guys like Connor Jones, Kellen Jones, Matthew Peck is starting to pick it up. Then you've got other guys chipping in as well. 21 different players on this Bobcats team have points. That's incredible. Anytime you have that much scoring diversity, it's going to make you a tough team to beat.
Now, going back to Yale, can you give 2 keys to the game for them or players that will be most impactful Friday?
On Friday, the keys for the game for the Bobcats are they have to make sure they can establish something in the offensive zone. We saw that they weren't able to do that against St. Lawrence, and it did not work out well. Also, they can't take too many risks and leave Eric Hartzell vulnerable. Obviously, he has been great all year long and has bailed them out of several situations. But if you're going to be risky and just hope that he's going to save you over and over again, Yale has too many offensive weapons to allow that to happen.
Well, thank you, Mark. And once again, this Friday at the High Point Solutions Arena, the #1 Bobcats will square off against the #13 Yale Bulldogs. For more information, follow us on Q30 Sports on Twitter at Q30 Sports. I'm Giovanni. So long, everybody.